Here we go.
All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Chuck.
And Deb.
And welcome to Biker Life Radio. We're so truly grateful and thankful that you've joined us today. We've got a fantastic show lined up just for you.
Biker Life Radio is for those who ride and those who inspire to ride. We are here to reveal the truth behind the motorcycle mystique and bring real life stories of the biker lifestyle.
Fantastic. And we'd like to acknowledge the sponsor that we have.
Our show sponsored today is Tony and Guy Hairdressing Academy out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. So if you are ready to crank up your engines, put your chins in the wind, knees in the breeze, and seats in the saddle, then hang on and let's get rolling.
Let's kickstart this show right away. And we're so grateful and thankful that you've joined us. I don't know, Deb, things have been sort of weird in the world lately. We're about ready to go under a serious lifestyle change. So we're looking forward to that coming up next month. And you guys will just have to stay tuned to find out what that is.
Absolutely. So I know that motorcycle events are starting to kind of creep open one by one. And there's still, Sturgis is still unsure of where they're going. Today they're saying they're on the mark, but they're not going to make a final decision until June 15th. So we're all just waiting for things to start to peel open like an onion and figure out exactly what's happening in our lives.
I don't know so much about an onion.
Well,
we're ready to get things open, but an onion will make me cry.
The blooming onion makes me hungry.
I do like to eat onions, though.
The blooming onion, I know. That's what I was thinking about when I said that. So anyway,
okay.
So, things are getting rescheduled. There's things that are happening like that. And, it is definitely a change in environment for some.
Which is a good thing that things are opening back up.
Right, absolutely.
So the other day I heard on a radio show, actually, that people had gained weight. By having to stay in, being quarantined and all that. And they initially, I thought they said something about 10 pounds, but I guess the average weight gain was about 5 pounds. Well, I think I put on some pounds, but the camera, if it was on camera, it actually looks a lot worse. So, yeah.
So 20 pounds on camera.
Yeah.
10 pounds on, I don't know. How much have you gained?
I have gained 10 pounds.
Okay. And I have not. I've been fluctuating in that 5 mark, so I can understand.
So you gained 5 pounds, or you have not?
Maybe.
What is it? One or the other?
I don't know. Don't give me such a hard time, but I don't know
exactly
want to know
the answer.
How much I've gained. I've just a few pounds here and there because I've still been working out pretty hard.
Well, somebody might say that's just water weight.
Sure, and I'll take that.
That's what my 10 pounds is.
Okay.
No, anyway, it goes on to say that the reason why the people gained the weight was because of 2 things.
Okay.
Anybody guess what it is? Can you guess what it is, Deb? You already know, probably.
I think I might know. At least I know for us because our habits did change slightly, and it was an increase of bread, unfortunately.
Bread. Yeah, a lot of bread. We didn't usually eat that much bread before.
Right. And I'm not sure if this is right or not, but processed foods. I know, when you go through, because we are now getting ready for hurricane season, and a lot of things that we do for hurricane season is what I did for this preparation, and it was buying all of the canned goods and items that would last a long time because you didn't know what you were in for. And I know that's probably one thing, not as fresh consumption.
They're not that good for you, but it was bread because we eat more sandwiches and things that are easier to make, I guess. I don't know. We went to bread. So, hot dogs, hamburgers, pizza, lots of pizza of my life.
Maybe
I
that's
really
why
do
we
like
have
pizza.
Lots of pizza.
A lot of different crusts. I've tried to do thin crust because I like that. And,
okay, so tell us. Everybody's waiting.
So the other one is excessive consumption of alcohol.
And that's been talked about off and on.
Yep, and that sure has happened quite a bit. I can't get a bottle to last longer than a week anymore.
Yeah, and it's not excessive consumption, but it's consistent consumption. So there's a level of consistency there because we're just not going out like we would. We're not out socializing, and the whole lifestyle of everybody's changed right now, and we have to take that into consideration.
For sure.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting, and it gave me a reason. I felt a little bit better about myself that maybe there's some other people out there that maybe put on a few extra pounds for those similar reasons. And so I hope to get this down. I'm really actually quite embarrassed by it because, anyway.
Okay. So, I do know that things are opening back up, and how I've been able to tell is that I've got a full class this weekend, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's a good thing.
I'm excited about that. It's going to be a great
What would it be when you
class.
say a full class, Deb? Remember, a lot of people may not know exactly what you're talking about. What's a full class?
Okay, a full class for me would be a class of 6. So
Class of 6 of what?
6 motorcycle students.
Oh,
so
it's a
learning
class.
to
What do you
ride.
do? You
It's
gotta-
the basic riders coach. I'm a basic riders coach for the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, as well as the state of Florida. So the one requirement in our state of Florida is that you have to have a basic riders course in order to get a motorcycle license. No longer can you just head down to the DMV, take a test, take a written test, and everything's good. So you have to physically go to a class, which required, as a coach and as an instructor, we had to get certified through a program. The state of Florida recognizes the Motorcycle Safety Foundation as our program. And then, of course, in order to teach for Harley Davidson, I had to go through additional coaching training and certification in order to be a rider coach with Harley Davidson. So
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a full class.
I have a full class of 6. You asked, there you go. So the Motorcycle Safety Foundation class was designed for 2 coaches and 12 students, but the ratio is 1 coach per 6 students. So at the dealership that I work at, which is Rossiter's Harley Davidson's, where I teach, we only have one coach classes at a time, and that's just the way they structure the academy there.
All right. Well, good. Yeah, that
So I'm
definitely
stoked.
is a good sign that things are happening.
Yep.
Another good sign is that I got my hair cut.
You did.
Nobody
on the-
knows what I looked like before, but you, Deb.
Yeah, I know. Your face is a representation of what your
That's
head
right.
looked like.
I do have my
before.
COVID beard going,
Yep.
and that's going real good. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with it. I think I'm going to hang on to it for a while. I've never had a beard this full, this crazy looking, and it's I don't know, it's pretty cool. What do you think, Deb? You love me more with it?
I don't know. I don't know that it is a determination on my love factor one way or the other. So it's all maxed love out. But it's a different look for you for sure. And now that we're getting a little bit older in this lifetime, it's changed color significantly with the full grow in. So it's a different look for you. And I know from that perspective, men don't have as many opportunities to change your look and appearance as we ladies do. So I can understand wanting to try something different.
Well, with this look, I'm all set to be Santa.
Yes, you are.
I got
completely.
the belly, I got the beard, and it seems like the longer I keep the beard, the
more Santa-like it's going to be.
Yeah, the more Santa-like it'll be. That's
So you won't have to put a beard on. It'll all be
I won't even have to wear
natural.
the beard suit. I just got to put the suit on, not
The suit and the
fake
hat.
suit.
Yeah, that's the fake suit.
I'm all
yeah.
in there.
Not the fake face hair.
I never knew I was going to be a professional Santa, but I'll take anything.
Yeah.
Remember, I was supposed to do it on my bike last year. Was
Yes.
that last year? That was the whole reason we got that Santa suit. I was supposed to
Correct.
ride around the neighborhood.
I think it was
on
actually
the bike and the Santa outfit.
Right. 2 years ago, we were tasked with that in our neighborhood for you to be the Santa at our Christmas event at the swimming pool.
You volunteered me for that.
I volunteered you without letting you know
Remember,
ahead of time.
I'm the
so-
kind of guy that stays in the house. I don't like getting out much.
I know, but it sounded
Scared.
like fun.
I'm scared to leave the house.
It
I'm
was
frightened.
it sounded like fun, and then for whatever reason, it never really came to fruition. So, and then this year we had Alexander, and of course
We had Alexander.
Well, we had Alexander as a grandchild, so we had the opportunity then for you to now be Santa to Alexander. So he didn't cry. It was a great time and lots of fun.
Yeah. And so anyway, I'm just real happy about my beard. So we'll see where it takes us. All right. The other thing is, Deb, that yesterday, today we have a lot to be grateful for. I think we've talked about this on the show the other day, a while back or a couple of shows ago. Our AC went out.
Again.
And yesterday we came home again and our AC was out again.
Again. Oh,
And so I did everything I possibly could to try to get it to work again. I thought for sure, it's histo, it's toast. I spent all this time on the computer trying to track down an AC, sending off people, to give us a quote, that kind of thing. And so the AC wasn't working. It was hot yesterday. It was probably the most humid day that we've had
in a
this year.
really long time.
All right. It was just
humid.
really, really bad.
It was.
Because I came home and, it was terrible. Anyway, so I couldn't get it to work. So after I spent all this time doing this research and Deb and I were talking, it was late I don't know, what time was it? It was like 8 or something?
8 or 9.
I said, I'm going to
I
give
don't
it a try
9.
one
It
more
was after
time.
9, yep.
One more time before we go to bed. And so I went out there, we did a little prayer, and boom, it worked.
It worked.
So we've got AC today, which we are really grateful for. It feels so good because, there's no way I couldn't imagine trying to do the show without AC.
No, I can't imagine that either.
I mean, I was sweating a little bit earlier, but I'm doing better now. So yeah, we've been going through quite a bit actually. Since it seems like a lot's been going on, and a lot of crazy things have been happening in the world too, Deb.
I know. I think we've been hearing something different every day. So
Yeah.
I'm almost nervous to turn on the TV on or turn the radio on.
And we really don't pay attention to much of that. We watch a little bit, but not a lot. And we don't read newspapers. Sorry, we probably should, but we're just not keeping up to date on those kind of things. As a matter of fact, I've taken a hiatus from social media. I only get on there real quick, do what I've got to do, and I get off. And I feel better about that. I feel, and this actually brings up something else, Deb. We didn't plan any of this at all. Is that there's a lot going on. I actually believe that social media is a brainwashing platform.
Goodness.
But I'm not going to go into that.
Thank you.
Because we'll have be going on too long. So I'm taking a break from the social media, specifically like Facebook, because really that's all I play around on pretty much anyway when I do. And I feel my time's a little bit more valuable in other areas as well. But what's been happening is a lot of crazy things. So there's a lot of crazy things going on right now with social media.
Well, why don't you share some of
censoring.
that craziness going on?
And the
some of
censoring that's
craziness.
going on. So I don't know that we want to go into that topic today,
Okay.
but just keep an eye on what's going on. I mean, people are now coming out telling you that they're setting up certain things in order to decide whether what you're posting is right or wrong. Okay?
That's a little scary.
So isn't that something that somebody can have their own opinion, and their opinion is going to take precedence over yours?
Well, what we're seeing that in the day-to-day stories that we're hearing is that someone chose not to wear a mask or chose to wear a mask, and
Right.
all of a sudden, there's this
They're a gang of people.
bombardment on whether that's right or wrong.
Was
They
it
just-
what do you mean whether or not if it's right or wrong?
Well,
it's about our freedoms.
Correct.
This is about freedom. That's part of the reason I like being a biker. It's about my freedom. Okay. And for people to track down that poor woman in the grocery store and what's the word? Come on.
They berated
humiliate her.
Yeah.
Humiliate her.
They did.
Just to put her down, called her names.
That's right.
Chased
They
her
were-
around,
they
yelled
were
and screamed at
hateful.
her. Now, I understand one thing. One thing I understand, if the store has a policy,
Right.
all right, and the store says you need to wear a mask to come in here, well, then you need to follow that policy, okay?
Correct. Yep.
That's what you got to do. That's just a courtesy thing to do.
Or not shop there.
Or
Go
don't go
find
there.
somewhere else to go.
You got a choice.
it.
If you don't want to wear the mask, then go where they don't have a mask, right?
Correct. You got it.
So now, but that shouldn't be the job. Shouldn't be of the other shoppers in there to tell that person what to do. That should be the job of an employee to say, "Hey, I'm sorry, ma'am. The only way that you can shop here is if you wear a mask."
Correct. And I know that Costco's doing that.
They were
so-
doing that, and you said they were lightening up a little bit, maybe.
Well, there's some of their really strict processes that they used to do when COVID happened initially. They had carts lined up in certain ways. They were really, really guiding you through the process, and they're not so much anymore. But I know 2 weeks ago they were telling someone in front of me and asked them if they had a mask. The person said no, and they said, "Well, we'll give you a mask today, but starting next week, you'll have to make sure that you come in with your own mask." And so they were very much doing a proactive approach of educating people to come in. Now, yes, the other day when I was there, I had my mask, but they didn't, watch me so closely. They didn't advise me to make sure we stayed 6 feet apart. And so they've loosened up a little bit. But what your experience is, from what you found on that story is, just people in general were hateful to that woman for her choice not to wear a mask.
Look, if that's your personal preference to wear the mask. Again, if the store has a policy, I understand, but the store employees should be taking care of that.
Correct.
And maybe that's where the malfunction happened or whatever that could have been done differently. But for people to do that, and here's the deal: they were wearing masks.
Right.
Right. So they were protecting
masked up.
themselves, right? So really, maybe the one that was possibly had exposure was the one that wasn't wearing the mask. I don't know. All I know is that seems to go against what I believe my freedoms are. I believe I have the right to choose to wear a mask or not to wear a mask.
Right.
And I believe a lot of bikers also believe in that. And I see a lot of bikers that actually don't wear masks. I'm probably one that you will see wear a mask more often. Okay.
Correct.
But there's a lot of different reasons for that. You probably even, people that know me know that I actually would wear a bandana. I never really wore actually the surgical mask, though I have them around the house because I have allergies. And here in Florida, when it gets real bad with allergies, I mean, I get sick. I get some serious sinus infections and things like that. So I'm prone to some of these things that they claim to be high risk. So I just have to be a little bit cautious about what I do. And I'm hoping all this stuff lightens up and we just get back to some kind of normal life. But our freedoms these days are really being challenged. And
I think an important part of that, and I'm glad that you brought this up, because just as important as it is for someone to wear a mask or not wear a mask, wear riding gear, not wear riding gear, we need to be appreciative and respectful. Our choice is our choice and their choice is there, and appreciate and respect that we all have the freedom to choose. And I think that sometimes that's what's not happening with all of this. And we're seeing it in all levels, not just with the whole mask concept or gloves, whatever you're wearing from a protective standpoint, but we're seeing that in the riding community too, that there are people lashing out, you're not doing this or you are doing this. And, it all comes down to personal freedom. And that's what the whole concept in riding, what most of us as riders love about being a motorcyclist.
all right, probably what we should do is move on a little bit beyond that. Just some of our personal feelings about that. We can go on and we could probably do a whole show about that.
Yeah, probably.
We'll just keep on moving forward. But what month is it, Deb? We didn't even cover this at the beginning.
I know.
It's coming to the end of the month and we missed it.
Well, we didn't miss it because we remembered it at the end of the month, but we didn't go over it. Last year, we were pretty intense about making sure that we did it very diligently every week. And so it's okay that this year we lightened up a little bit and let everybody else kind of cover it week by week. But it is Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. And so we just wanted to make sure that we bring a little bit of that to the world of our show and all of our listeners, because yes, we do recognize, I think to me, what probably took it away from my mindset as much is the fact that, there's not as much riding going on. Some are riding more than ever, but I think for most of us, riding's taken a little bit of a different shape in the last several weeks. And so it just wasn't something that we talked about predominantly, but it is motorcycle safety awareness. We are rolling into summer. And so for a good part of the country, they are starting to get the hot heat that we've been experiencing for quite a while now. And so it's going to take, travelers in different places. We're now crossing borders in a different way. And so, safety awareness, I think, is important to make sure that we talk about and recognize, even if it is the end of the month.
Yeah, basically, I think they set this up because, if things weren't happening, this would be the month that people were starting to get out. So they wanted to bring attention that now you're going to start seeing more bikers on the road. Well, that's true, but now it's even more true because as things begin to open up, now more bikers will probably get out as well, and we're going to be starting in our prime, I don't know if you'd call it our prime season or not, but we're going to be riding. We are going to see more bikers out there now just for the fact that people are going to be getting out. They're ready to get out.
Yes.
They're ready to get out of the homes and get out and get back to a normal life.
That's
and
absolutely right.
And,
and so many events were canceled where people would have been riding to those events. And that's a lot of what we've seen across the country too, as things start to open up and people start to get back on their motorcycles and start to attend and ride to these places and destinations. Then it's going to be important that you keep safety all summer long.
Yep. Let's go ahead and just give a real quick sponsor break, and we will be right back.
Hi, Rider Coach Deb here. Just wanted to take a quick minute and share with you something that I have found that is a phenomenal safety item that every rider that rides with a helmet will want to have for their own safety and protection on the road. It's called the InView Wireless Brake and Turn Signal Light. It's designed to attach to your helmet, as I mentioned, and it syncs up directly with your brake lights and turn signals so that the car drivers that just seem to miss the signals that we put on will now be able to see it because it's right at eye level on your helmet. They're designed with ultra bright LEDs. As I mentioned, it is programmable and it works in conjunction with your brake lights and turn signals from the motorcycle. It's very easy to install and simple to use. So if you would like to find out more and get information about the InView, be sure and visit chuckndebshow.com/InView, and in the ordering process, put in coupon code BIKERLIFE. Again, chuckndebshow.com/InView, and utilize coupon code BIKERLIFE to get a great discount on the InView. Welcome back. We're so glad that you have stayed with us. Just kind of wrapping up that Motorcycle Safety Month. We had several listeners actually that responded to us on our Facebook page, Biker Life Radio page, as we were talking about motorcycle safety awareness and what go-to gear is required every time you get on the motorcycle. A couple of things came out. Obviously, Nikki and Jessica both said helmet, not No question about it. Engen had an interesting perspective because he said money. And sometimes I think plastic is the way to do things these days, but to actually think about bringing money was an interesting perspective. And then Wanda said boots and jeans, which I'm a big fan of always wearing boots and jeans. But then she ended it with a good bra if she's riding on a rigid frame bike. And, from a women's perspective, I think that's important there, and one question I'm going to shout out to our Facebook page. So make sure that you visit us there on Facebook is, my question to you, Chuck, and I'm going to throw a curveball at you. Is there any undergarments that you prefer to wear when you're riding? And so, when you're going through the drawer and go, we're going to go for a ride today, I'm going to pick this instead of that. And then I'm just asking, because for me as a woman, there are times when I say, yes, I'm going to wear this instead of that because we're doing a ride.
I'm going to keep that to myself.
Right.
So what was the initial question? Not that you just asked me, but that was on the Facebook page that the people responded to. What was the question?
Is there any go-to gear every time you ride? So, gear is always a little bit of it can be a controversial perspective, but
bra and money.
Money and bra. So you make sure you get that bra on good. So, it depends.
Good.
I guess if you have multiple motorcycles and you have a choice to ride several different ones, one may cause different undergarment gear than the other. So I thought that was an interesting perspective for her. And I can understand that. So my question again, back to you.
I wear a fishnet G-string.
Okay. Got to get it straight.
Yeah.
Fishnet G-string every time you ride.
Yep.
And the reason
is there such a thing, a fishnet G-string?
I don't know. You would know if you wear that or buy it.
You haven't noticed?
No. Usually you've got your jeans on by the time I'm ready to go back in the room. So,
okay.
yeah. Anyway, so again, that's one topic I'll probably cross that bridge here in the near future because I think for women it is different.
Probably.
So, lines.
You've always, that's been the big thing for you. I remember when we first started, that was the one question you would ask the ladies. It was always about what you wear. Are your panties crawling up your what? I don't know.
I didn't ask that question, but we had a friend that was just very outgoing and outspoken about showing what she preferred to ride in. And I do have a pair of that undergarment now, and I agree. It's a great pair.
It was a talk show host, right?
Yes, it was a talk show host.
What's the
undergarment.
Name?
They were Ellen underwear from Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh,
and yes, they are very comfortable riding underwear. I do get that. So
I don't know how we've got on this topic, but it's very
Wanda.
interesting. Wouldn't it be better if you just didn't wear anything at all, maybe?
No. Can you imagine that? Wanda would have to say, absolutely not. We've got to be supported on a rigid frame bike.
Very interesting. All right. So let's move on.
All right. So shifting gears, you'd mentioned briefly about some lifestyle changes. Do you want to open up about that at all?
No. What does that mean?
I don't know. You said something
about it.
What
would I want to open up about it? I just said earlier, we're not going to say anything.
Not going to talk about it. Okay.
So why are you asking me? What did you have in mind?
Well, let's shift gears. I don't know because, several shows ago, we actually had asked our audience to give us feedback on a was it Netflix series? It's not really a movie. It was more of a documentary type series called Phantom Lake.
Prime series, yeah.
Prime, okay, Amazon Prime series, Phantom Lake. And Mikey actually was generous enough to give us some feedback about his perspective. So if you haven't yet gone out there, it's let's kind of set the backdrop.
Go ahead.
Pastor Tome actually took
one of the
largest growing churches in the nation. Actually, is a motorcyclist. He's a pastor there, and so he organized a group. It's an adventure ride, and he has this location called Phantom Lake. And so he took a group of riders, and not such an experienced group of riders, on this trip to Phantom Lake. And it's an adventure biker ride.
And so they document it, basically, is what it is,
right.
like a documentary.
A documentary about the trip.
And so I had watched it, and I've actually asked our listeners if any of you have watched it. I'd like to hear your feedback, because I had some personal things that I had with the show itself and some of the things that took place.
Right.
So, Mikey was kind enough to actually give us some feedback as he actually watched the show, and I'll just go over those real quick with you. He said at the end of episode 1, it's good. It's reality TV meets motorcycling.
And I have to agree with that. It was really reality TV meets motorcycling, so an adventure trip. Yeah.
Now Norman Reedus' ride, that's sort of maybe.
Yeah, it had a different feel.
More of a show.
Yeah, it's more of a show. Yeah.
It takes, he says, it makes me realize what a great riding group we were at the river. No doubt about that, Mikey.
Absolutely, yeah.
I hate the fact that people pulled over for beer, splitting off from the group.
Now, that's always a big controversial discussion, I think, when you ride in a group is that, does part of the group go if they want to, the choice, or does the group always stick together? And I think that, as we have ridden in the past with large riding groups, we seem to always stick together no matter what. So we kind of made, collective group choices, go here, go there, time to go back, not to go back. And so, that was an interesting perspective to see that.
Yeah. So he goes on, he says, Tome, talking to a group, taking this group of inexperienced, taking a group
of inexperienced riders.
Yeah,
right?
I can't read is the problem. Sorry, Mikey. I get better maybe at this.
Yep.
So go ahead, Deb.
So taking inexperienced riders on a trip like this. And I think that, when I watched it, that was something that we both really were
was
like,
irresponsible. And that's what Mikey said.
Yeah.
And they're still on the highway. The second woman is down and they're invoking Jesus to come to their incompetence. Tome hasn't planned this thing very well.
Well, and so true. And again, coming from a rider coach perspective, my thought would be I would do what I could to try and prepare them for that. So there's some endurance, there's some, physical things that you could maybe prepare.
Behind
mental.
the scenes, they had to do some preparation.
I would hope so. We didn't see it on front. So
Day 3, Tome decides that the engine on one of the bike needs a skid plate. Tries to make one. No preparation.
Yeah, and he did have a vehicle that was behind them, a support vehicle. So you would have thought that, there would have been some things, but
on there, right?
Right.
And then Mikey says, great location. Really, a lot of good location areas that were pretty cool. And then note to self. And so this is really important. I like this that Mikey said, and it's absolutely true. And that's why I sort of want to mention it here on the show. Note to self, never show this to new riders.
Huh.
Seriously, new riders, you don't want to watch this. I'm not even sure if experienced riders want to watch this. But that's why I wanted you to watch it to get a feel for it.
Right.
And get back to us and tell us what your thoughts were. And Mikey was kind enough to do it. Tome's winning and push speech is right on. He does give very, very well good speech there. He does really. That's his job. That's being a pastor. I think that's his pastor coming out, and that was real well. He goes on. He says, all done. I thought it was going to be a motorcycle series. It wasn't. I didn't learn anything about riding. He then goes on and says, challenging yourself and exceeding your goals and abilities. It was, he says. And it's true. That was the message, I think, more than anything through that. And I think that's really what he was trying to do, is to push people onto another level, to go on to the next level. Like if they can make it through this, they'll be able to make it through anything in life.
Correct.
And actually, that might be one part of the show that I'm sort of in agreement with. It doesn't necessarily mean that I was in agreement with how he handled everything and how it was all set up, but the message is clear. And I believe the message is right. I often think about myself riding. If I can ride, then what other things in life could I overcome?
Right.
And I really do think that way, because there's not a lot of people who ride, and what we do is risky. It's the truth. And so if I make it another day, then why couldn't I make it? I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen if I went out and pursued my goals?
Right.
It's not going to kill me. Right. I mean, depending on what it is, obviously.
And you might just make it. So, heck, that's the positive
So it's like getting on a bike. I mean, that's putting ourselves at risk. I mean, there's something that could take place with that.
Right.
So, anyway, what do you got to add, Deb? I'm blabbering on too much.
No,
and thanks for that, Mike. Really appreciate it.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Mike. And anybody else that would be willing to do that, take a look at it. Let us know. Send us an email. Give us your thoughts.
Leave a voicemail. Go to the website, chuckandebshow.com. Record it. Send it to us. We'll play it.
There's lots of ways for us to stay connected, and we want to make sure that we do that. And, I agree with that. So, again, kind of coming back to my mindset of the class, many times a new rider, if they don't at first succeed, they either their mental mindset is just throw in the towel. It's not for me. But I've recently been reading a book by Alyssa Clickinger, and she's an adventure riding gal, and we'll probably have her on the show here in the near future. But the one thing I liked about her book is that she explained she wasn't really made to ride. She was kind of a clumsy person, but through her endurance and consistency and persistency, she's actually become a good rider. And it's all about that mental mindset and willing to kind of be observant about each ride after every single one and willing to grow through the things that you're uncomfortable with. And so I think there's so much more of a bigger message if you really take it like that way.
Yeah, good point, Deb.
Yeah.
So let's go on. What do we got? We've got a big pause here. I don't like pauses, you know that.
Well, we do have one review, and so we want to make sure we highlight
that's what I was just looking
too.
for. I couldn't find it.
So
I had it up here. The name was sort of strange.
Mac and Andrew
You got it?
said,
Okay.
yep. And
Mac-
again, if you haven't visited us on iTunes and Apple Podcasts, be sure to visit to us, and we'll talk about that. But that particular listener said, an enjoyable and informative for motorcyclists of all types. So,
We really
thanks
appreciate
for
that
giving that
review. Thank you
feedback.
so
We
much.
appreciate it. And if there's anything that we can do in the future, a show topic that might be meaningful to you, please love to cover it.
I want to encourage you to go ahead and leave us a review too. And actually, the top listeners that we have are on Apple Podcast and iTunes. I guess they're sort of the same thing now.
I don't know.
Because when I
There's
go to
some-
iTunes, it says Apple Podcast. So I'm just thinking that they're probably the same thing. I guess we should know these things.
Yeah, probably
But
in the
those
transition.
are the top two what you listen on, okay?
Right.
And so please do leave us a review. We appreciate that. Spotify. This is one I hadn't heard of. We're going to have to look into. Watch OS.
Yeah.
That's in the top 5. And then, of course, we are on Podbean. So if you're listening on Podbean, please be sure to follow us and comment there as well.
Right.
We really appreciate it because we want to hear from you.
Now, all of the bad news and stuff that's going on in the world, the one good news is that, even in the podcasting communities, I've heard that there has been a slight transition for many of the podcasters. But what we have noticed in our show is that there's actually been an increase, a significant increase for us in our radioship and listenership. And so I just want to give some kudos to that. Obviously, in the United States, we're number 1, but we've had almost a 37% increase, and that's phenomenal.
36.7% increase as of May.
Right.
That's just over the last month.
Right.
So things are really looking up. And so we have you to thank. So thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Our numbers are a way that we can show that, at least maybe we're giving you a little bit of something here, that you're enjoying the show a little bit. And that's why we want to hear from you. We want to hear what your suggestions and recommendations are, because we want the show to not so much be about us, but be more about you and how we can be of service to you.
That's right. So again, Macedonia, India, and the UK are part of that growing community. Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands, and finally Canada, Australia, and topping it off was the United States.
So welcome to all those
of you.
new
Thank you,
listeners
and welcome.
of those places that Deb mentioned. And there are some new ones. What's that last one? Macedonia.
Macedonia, yep.
So that's pretty cool. So good stuff.
That
The Netherlands, I think, is might be new as well. So thanks a lot for listening from around the world. We appreciate that. Biker Life Radio on Facebook is growing from people all around the world, and we want to welcome you as well. Thank you for coming on board and participating there on Biker Life Radio.
As always, be sure to connect with us on the Chuck-n-Deb.com for all of our sponsor information, as well as let us know what you think. In addition, check with us on and connect with us on our Biker Life Radio Facebook page and community. And be sure to click the like, share, and save, and subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And leave us a review.
Yeah, be sure to leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it. And I think my audio is off a little bit, so I apologize about that. We'll get it back on next week. I was playing around with the mic in a different way. So here's what I'd like you to do. For a lifetime of happiness, here's what you need to do. For a lifetime of happiness, ride more and ride free. Talk to you all next week. Everybody take care. Thanks for joining us.
See you again soon.